we're loved, we're cleansed, we're new creations in Christ. All things are made new. We have fellowship with the Lord, and we have fellowship with one another, and we can walk in the light, and Jesus cleanses us from all unrighteousness. I mean, all of our identity has to shift over, not to what we did or what they did, but what Jesus does. And what happens when the trauma happens, you brought it up, maybe explain. And guys, we're not clinicians. We're just sharing some things that we're learning as we go, but the neural pathways and what they're finding with the latest brain science and trauma.
Yeah. I mean, when your identity is being formed by an abuser or someone that's neglectful, or from childhood on not forming a healthy identity for you or helping you form a healthy identity, it literally builds a brain pathway going in that direction, and it continues to go in that direction. The only way to stop that from happening is to have the God's identity of you create a new pathway, and you start going in that direction, creating new habits that are healthy and identifying ways that are healing for you, which a counselor can help do if it's a good counselor. But those neural pathways are literally lanes that are created in your brain, and you have to swap to another pathway.
And so the brain science, it's interesting because James says, don't be double-minded. And double-minded is literally, you've got your old identity and your new identity. And you can live out of your new identity, but you're going back to your old neural pathways. That's what it means to be double-minded. There's literally two paths in the brain, and you're choosing the wrong one, not the right one. That's why Paul tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And Paul uses this language of put off and put on. And it is put off this identity, put on this identity, put off these neural pathways, put on these neural pathways. And so, because otherwise, if your trauma shapes your identity and you've got a negative neural pathway with sex, then it's like, I feel scared because it's always been dangerous. I feel used because it's always been
right.
I give, they take. I feel dirty because it was always wrong. I feel, violated. And so those neural pathways are strong and they're real. And if you get married, just because you're married and you love the Lord and it's in covenant and it's okay, everything you're doing is okay, but your interpretation or feelings about it are all negative because they're shaped by the trauma.
Yep.
And so then you've got to form some new habits, some new neural pathways, and then your spouse is going to need to be aware of that. Like we're going to need to be emotionally close so that it's in the context of relationship. We can't do anything that God forbids because I can't do shameful, dirty things. And you can't, push me and force me to do things because I was forced to do that, and it's going to trigger me. And we need to, talk about what we're going to do so that I don't have a lot of anxiety coming in. And it probably then is going to include a really good professional.